the Forged and Unbroken podcast.
That's a funny switch. We'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. Before we even get there, you started this whole thing, this whole venture in Ocean City, right? Aren't you technically a shore boy?
Yes, yeah. Born and raised.
How did you get from Ocean City to the Western Shore? I don't think I ever knew that. I don't think I knew the transition to get from one to the other.
So, started all born and raised in Ocean City.
Right.
Ended up just shy of my 15th birthday joining Ocean City as a junior, or cadet as they call it. Started taking some classes, making friends within the department. So, one of the guys that was running MIFRE at the time was a volunteer in Ocean City, but was from PG County. So I was going to MIFRE, help him out, learn the way of things. And as I got closer to 18, they he's like, "Oh, I'm going home this weekend. Want to come ride along and do things?" So I'm like, "Oh, sure."
Yeah.
So I went up with him to see PG County, and he was from like Mount Rainier area. So went by. His son was volunteering at Mount Rainier. Ended up doing a ride along there. Another guy I knew that had been down and helped. He was working in D.C., but he volunteered at West Lanham Hills. So
yeah.
I ended up riding there. And then when I turned 18, I ended up joining West Lanham.
Okay.
And it's been was a member there for about 2 years before moving to Kentland. But
Gotcha.
Within that time, I was when I graduated high school, I was supposed to go in the Army. And made it to the day I was supposed to ship.
Oh, no
and
shit.
Things just didn't seem legit. It seemed like I was getting ready to get bamboozled. So I was like, I think I'm just going to go to college. So went home and went to Harvard on the Pike for a semester. Montgomery College for in Rockville for fire science.
Okay.
Had some friends that went through it, so started that. While there, that's when I was living in West Lanham, commuting to Rockville for school. Howard opened up and offered a test, so a couple guys were like, "Oh, we're going to take the test." "Oh, sure, I'll go."
Yeah.
So we took the test and processed through that. Initially got the thanks, but no thanks offer, and then started the second semester of college, and it was like within the first week, I think it was. I was sitting there getting ready to walk into class one day, and Howard called and was like, "Hey, we had some openings come through or whatever, people that couldn't make it. Do you want a job?" I'm like, "No."
Hell yeah.
It was 2000, yeah. So I looked at the guy I was hanging out with. I was like, "Yeah, tell the teacher, tell the professor I'm not coming in today."
I gotta go.
They ran in and was like, I forget what day of the week it was, but it was like, if you got this, and this done by Friday, you could start on Monday with the rest of the class. If not, you'd have to start within a week later. So I had to go get my psych done on my own, get a medical done. Now, it wasn't like I didn't have to find somebody. I just had to go to it. So I drove to D.C. to do a psych, drove to Concentra to do the medical.
Yeah.
Ended up getting everything done in time. I started Monday with the rest of the class.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar story getting into Howard. I was the alternate, and then same thing. It was a Friday at like 5. Like show up Monday morning.
Yep.
Yeah, hurry up and wait.
Get all this stuff done and show that you actually want to be here.
Yeah. I don't actually remember if it was through Howard or Kentland that I knew you first. It was because our mutual friend Dano, we were in his wedding, like years later now. We were in the academy together. And I remember like it was yesterday. He's like, "Hey man, you want to take a road trip?" And we weren't even at the academy yet. We go to Landover Road, right? Start running calls out of there. And at some point, actually after I graduated, I came out to Savage, and we were working there together, different shifts. And you asked me to work a trade for you so you could take the test for the city.
Is that what it was?
And then, so I was supposed to work for you, and I think they caught wind that you were going to go test for the city, and I think they shot the trade down. And so I think then Joe Golden picked up the trade because they couldn't turn him down because he was a lieutenant.
Okay.
And I think he ended up working for you or something like that.
I can't remember.
It was one or two of us like jumped in for you so you could go test. And obviously you chucked the deuces and And that all worked out for you, and you went to the city.
Yeah, that was all random too.
Yeah.
That was the application and the written were just a random, not planned or anything.
Yeah.
And Kevin Larkins, he wanted to apply and test, and was like, "I got you an extra application." I was like,
I'll check it out.
Sure, why not? And then once I applied, then he did the same thing on the written. He was like, I was getting off from Savage in the morning. He was like, "Hey, I'm already on the way already stopped and got your coffee. Come on." Okay. But then, I think it was the physical where I had the swap. It was either the physical or the
maybe that's what
interview
it was,
when
yeah.
I had to get a swap for it.
Okay.
Because I was told years ago, once you start a process, go through with it
Yeah.
until they offer you a job. Because then you won't ever be able to go, well, I wonder if I would have.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, man. And it was driving home from work one day when the city called and was like, "Hey, do you want a job?"
There's you.
It's like,
That is real.
I got to make a decision now.
Yeah, because you were on the lieutenant's list with us. Yeah.
Who knows where I would have been.
Yeah, who knows? Right. Seems like it's all shook out pretty well for you.
Yeah, I can't complain.
I think it's something that's pretty interesting is that you have made it up through the ranks through Kentland, and you're sitting in a sweet spot in the city. Both places, like, how would you explain it? And what I mean is, throughout the American Fire Service, Baltimore City and Kentland are known fairly well, just for the amount of the volume of calls, the volume of fire, the regions. Just, I think a lot of it comes to the socio-economic status, the people it attracts, just in the community, but also in the public safety realm. How when somebody outside the fire service asks, or even within this fire service, like, all right, what is this place really like? Not just the fire department, but like the community. How do you explain that to people? Like, I used to say, like, oh, Kentland was kind of like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to the military, like it was almost like Little Ramadi. Like, it can be crazy. It can be absolutely crazy. So how do you explain for both Kentland and the city where you work? Because it's insane.
Yeah. For Kentland, I don't know. I just used to, when people would ask, it's like, you got to come and check it out. Like, you got to come and see. It's a suburb of Northeast DC. It used to be a lot worse than it is now. It still has its days and its times and its parts. But overall, they've done a little bit of tear down and fix up. But the heart of it still is what it is. Baltimore is, especially the section I work in, or I've worked the entire time, is usually when people ask, well, what is it? The number 1 and 2 go to, have you seen The Wire? Or did you see anything about the riots? That's my area.
Yeah.
I've had senior friends from other cities come drive through, show them the area and whatnot, and they're amazed at the abandonment, the dilapidation, the drug trade, the crime, and
it's its own place, man. It is its own place. Yeah.
Sam Hiddle has one story he loves of driving through the city with myself and Chief Larry Schultz. I don't know if that's for the air, though.
Hey, we
next time you see him,
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
Last time, because they'll use some of our engine companies to cover if there's big calls or funeral details, whatever. One of the last times I was up there, I was with my two firefighters, I think combined had maybe 2 years combined. And one of them is just like a good old shore boy, right? Absolute
culture
sweetheart.
Shock.
The culture shock was insane.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there laughing. We're on the front step, and I'm like, hey man, come check this out. And I mean, I'm making light of it now. If you zoom out, sure, it's sad, but like, there's this chick who's probably 8 or 9 months pregnant, and she is drunk as a skunk. And she's fighting with cops, fighting with citizens. She's going in and out of liquor stores. We ended up having to transport her later. The other girl I have with me is like African American, but she's like making racial slurs to her. They're both African American, but they're just like, she's like yelling at her, and we're trying to help her. Like, And then she starts taking her shirt off. She's stark naked, middle of the day, going up and down the street, 9 months pregnant and drunk. And it's just like another day on the section that we were in. And his eyes were just like bugging out of his head. I'm like, bro, this is just how it is sometimes up here. It's just another day in the city.
Yeah, definitely. Parts of the city are interesting. Days in the city are interesting.
Yeah.
It's you never know when you think you've seen it all, like something happened, something like that, and it's like, okay, it can get worse. Like, it can get more interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people in the city and a lot of good.
Yes.
And then, unfortunately, too much of that's overshadowed by the drugs and the culture and crime.
Yeah. There's some amazing parts of the city. We've had awesome times. There's so much cool spots in there. You mentioned it before, the abandonment and the vacants. I don't want to say it's like your bread and butter, but you run them all the time. That's kind of what you do. Row home fires, right? Yeah. And I know in the past, people that don't know any better will talk smack. From your experience, like, what is your experience? And I don't know. I think it doesn't hold a lot of water. It doesn't, for people that don't know, it doesn't hold a lot of weight. And why is that?
Not being there, it's easy to be on the outside and just look at, you know the outcome 100% of the time as an outsider, because you don't see it till after the fact. Whether it goes good or it goes bad, you don't see that. So you know it's after a search, after the fire's out, or after it falls down, whatever. Like, you have all that at the time. Being in there, and you take that small snippet of that story that you just told, and then amplify it 500% if the place is on fire, if it's a busy street, middle of the day, middle of the night, whatever the case is. Put more people out there yelling, screaming, throwing stuff out there. As soon as we're arriving, there's people in there. There's not people in there. It's known squatters. It's this or that. So you have to be smart about it. Have to do the size up. Have to pay attention to things and go a little bit slower. Yeah. But we probably make rescues or grabs out of just as many, if not more, abandoned structures as we do occupied.
That alone, I feel like negates all the shit talking, right?
I thought that was what we're here for. Although I had somebody in a very prevalent company throughout the country not long ago made this statement, well, are you inviting them to the Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, come on.
Talking about a squatter.
Come on. Yeah. We don't get to decide that. Yeah, we're not playing God here, Yeah. Yeah, you're placing more life on other people, or like different grades. It's not, whatever.
So it's do the size up, and use anything that if any of the reputable people trap kind of things, not just people stay in there, but no, look, I'm telling you, there's somebody in there or whatnot. We can show videos. I think you've seen a lot of mine. Yes. Yep. At this point, there's been questionable ones, been questioned at work by people. It's like, well, was there really somebody? What made you think? And one of my videos made it out, and it was like, before I could get out of the engine, there was a lady. There's somebody in that room right there, second floor, that's handicapped. And so, hindsight, she ended up talking about the Bravo exposure.
Oh, okay.
But
you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
She was very convincing.
What are some of these curveballs that you're getting thrown in these vacants? Because you hear about all like the disaster scenarios, like the holes in the floor, or just the dilapidation, the odd layouts, what squatters are doing to change things up. Like what are these curveballs that you're having to overcome that's different from what other cities might be experiencing?
I don't know if it's anything different than other places, especially talking to friends across the country and some of the other similar demographic type settings. Yeah. It's, granted, more of the row homes are on the East Coast, Philly, Camden, New York, Boston. It's more of an East Coast thing. As you go west, you lose the row homes. It becomes more single families, but they're still divided up, cut up. Parts of Baltimore are big single family dwellings have been made into multiple dwellings,
Yeah.
single room occupancies. So, but just as it's being squatted in or abandoned is just what the weather's done, any previous fires, previous burnouts, what the weather's done, if the windows have been open, roof's been open, anything like that getting in there. With the squatters, is you really have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
A ton of very creative illegal hookups to get power.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a lack of intelligence or just very big balls. Some of the ways that they're managing to get power.
Yeah.
Jumper cables right from the pole.
That's insane. Yeah, man, you're playing with fire there.
Yeah. Screwdrivers and things shoved into breaker boxes.
Wow.
Like, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Barricading certain doors up or windows up just so people can't see in or other people can't come in.
Yeah.
There was one setup where there was a ladder in the back. They were using the first floor was concrete blocked out by the city. They were using the second floor to go and come. Well, there was a ground ladder out back. And so theoretically, if the ladder was up, there was people inside there.
Yeah, yeah.
If the ladder was down, they were away for the day. Well, it's like we got a call one time. They were stuck in there. Somebody had gotten pissed off and taking the ladder while the people were inside.
So you had your patient assist.
Yeah, we had a forcible exit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you never know what you're going to find in there. A lot of forcible entry challenges. So
Yeah.
and it's nothing out of a textbook, or sometimes the stuff you've seen is other times just like, well, I got this piece of wood and there's already a nail and a screw in it. I'm going to put this up and then a shopping cart behind it. So
You gotta get creative. Yeah.
can you say at one point some old guys years ago talked about some booby trap kind of things like back I think it was in the 90s. They had arsonists running around that would try to burn the stairs out first.
Oh, okay.
So things like that, but lately it hasn't been like
You're not
one
really-
key thing. It's just whatever they're using is
Yeah.
getting the whole place throughout going.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which like we've learned and we've adapted, and it's like if that's what the case is exterior ops for us, and then if the whole thing's going, whereas before it was something that we just let's go put it out. Mm-hmm. So now they had a fire yesterday. It was marked as a code X-ray for us, so a vacant, supposed to be dilapidated for our exterior ops, but there was good credible witnesses outside saying it's known as squatters and people should be inside there.
Jeez.
So, and but it was a second floor fire, 2-story, middle of the group with a second floor fire. So the battalion chief on the scene changed operations to limited the companies that were engaging, but put companies inside the rescue, a truck company and an engine to extinguish and search.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, the searches were negative, but
I mean, but you still got to go in. That's, like you said, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. 2
or 3 months ago, we had one, and the RIT engine actually located the squatter in the first floor unconscious and got him out.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
With plywood on the front door, plywood on the windows.
yeah. Jeez. What are some of the differences you've noticed between the city and Kentland? Because I feel like there's not as many. I mean, it has its vacants, but nothing to the degree that the city has.
No.
Much more single families, not a ton of row homes.
Yeah.
Similar socioeconomic status. Definitely the volume of fires and the drug trade and the trafficking and all that. So I feel like it draws a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I think especially back in the beginning of my time and the middle of my time at Kentland was like the vacants were garden apartments.
Yeah. Ronald
So
Gardens.
it was a couple sections here, a couple sections there, and but with the city, it's just a wide array of East and West Baltimore just vacant, which is blocks.
Yeah.
There might be one occupied in the block.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So they're tearing some down. We laughed that we were going to have goats and cows roaming around pretty soon. We got farmland, but for that is, I think, the difference in time frames too with the police abilities. Like back when a lot of the garden apartments were vacant in Kentland's area, like the police had a very prominent presence.
Yeah.
Whereas with everything that's unfolded in the country and policing, like the fact that the Baltimore Police Department is severely understaffed, and
Sure.
they're still trying to get back from being cut by previous entities.
Yeah.
So it's they're understaffed, not able to respond, not out there really able to make a true impact on day to day. So
Yeah.
they're just playing catch up.
Yeah. You just mentioned something that kind of tipped me off. You have some cities that have, like 15 people coming off of trucks because of staffing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other cities that are understaffed and, they claim budget, whatever. You have done an awesome job training people up and talking about, I love the word you use, the upfront investment. And, you have your program, the way of the engine company. I remember I actually did some research for college on like the brownouts and how that all developed over the decades in the city. How has that affected fire department operations? When any day you can be like, hey, you're being shut down or this and that. When you couple what you talk about with upfront investment and training people and doing the right thing with limited resources, and it's not limited resources like you're in a rural area, it's limited resources in a major city, in a major urban area. How do you couple those two?
Just got to push, just got to drive on, and we're sometimes our own worst enemy, but we got to make it work. Like, we're there. Unfortunately, it's not just for us; it's for the citizens and everything. So they're the ones going to suffer, but we need to do the best that we can.
Right.
So any day we might have 2 to 6 companies closed in Baltimore for staffing or apparatus.
Yeah, that's a lot for you.
So with that being the case, like your response time, you can be going somewhere across a town that you normally wouldn't even go on.
Yeah.
Or like you talked about, we pulled Howard and Baltimore County into the city more in the last 3 years than the previous 15 years that I've worked there. So out of the almost 18 years, like first decade, it hardly ever happened. I think there was one day where I think there was 2, 3 alarm fires going on within blocks of each other, and then they had a 2 alarm on the other side of town, and they're like, I guess we'll get a couple engines in here. But I mean, in the last couple of years, it's just almost weekly, or it's definitely monthly, I'd say. Like,
probably. Yeah, we're running up the road a fair amount now.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it maybe is some better utilization resources. Understanding that, hey, Howard's got an engine a couple miles out of town, as opposed to, we have another engine, but over in the northeast side, they're really not even anywhere close.
Right.
So let's use a better resource. But having the units brown out, you might end up doing something that you're not I won't say not supposed to do, but not normally. Like an engine might have to throw a ladder. Right. You might not get a ladder truck to force entry. You might need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
So they're getting us some more equipment where if we need to. So every engine has a grinder now. So some set up to cut metal, some with wood. So if a truck's not available, you can at least attack either a piece of plywood or a lock, depending on how your engine's set up. Every engine now has a rip bag, so there's at least that resource out there. Yeah. Instead of having to wait for a truck. Yeah. So they're getting more and more equipment.
Did that come about because of the latest line of duties, like Stricker Street? Or is that kind of already in works?
I think it had been talked about. I don't know how far into the works it had been, but with the board of inquiry results and everything, it's definitely helped push it forward. Yeah. And we've talked for years, what resources it needs to take to accomplish one Mayday. Yeah, right. And that one Mayday usually breeds other Maydays. Yeah. So to think that we were running major fires with 2 available rip bags on the whole incident. Sure. And one might be out front and one might be down the block, depending on where the ladder truck's parked. Yeah. So, and it could be anywhere on that truck too. Right. So now at least they're in a compartment that's marked as 1 or 2 spots, depending on what ladder truck it is, what model.
Yeah, you're streamlining operations a little
trying
better.
to.
Do you feel like in this, because some cities, like you got a IM engine or IM truck, and there's very little, crossover. Do you see now, like the culture of the city, you're much more of a utility fielder where you kind of, not that you have to be a jack of all trades, but like you need to be able to pivot and operate efficiently with like a really solid foundation in all the areas.
I think for the most part, like with the exception of our drivers, so our pump operators stay on engines and our truck driver, our EVDs stay on trucks. Everybody else, the officers, the acting men, and the firefighters, especially with the closures, overtime, how it is, you can work on anything at any given time.
Okay.
Anywhere in the city.
Yeah.
So, whereas before, where it's like, well, we didn't really have much overtime, so unless you worked some mutuals, for a good while, you could come to work and just ride your ladder truck if that's how it fell.
Yeah,
if you're the act man, like, that's okay, I'm here, and it's like, oh, that thing over there has engine or has water on it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. But now, with everything, you're signing up, you're working overtime, you have your impact days and whatnot. So you have a lot more prevalence to be working on that other company or that other specialty. So, and I think most people want to be able to at least be decent, if not be good, when they're over there. They want to continue a good reputation. They want to know what they're doing. So they're taking more time to train. We have more training going on at our academy now, and especially field training than we have for the previous 17 years of my career.
Okay, cool.
So over the last few years, the chiefs and the captains out there have really pushed forward with getting incumbent training, in-service training.
Yeah, good.
And more than just, this is how to lift a stretcher. It's like, here's some legitimate forcible injury training.
Yeah, good.
RIT training and bailout. So we pushed out a bailout program this year. So every member has a gym tour harness and a bailout system. Now we've started the refresher training for that.
Awesome.
Some packaging, some advanced firefighter removal classes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and you're playing a hand in that as well, right?
Oh,
yeah, you're big in that. What of whether it's Kentland or the city, like, have there been Maydays that you're involved in? One, and then two, what were the lessons from them? I feel like since I've known you, yes, you got a love for the engine company, but you also have a really deep tool cache for like rescue stuff too, right? Right. Like you were the go-to guy.
Things. Right? I've done a couple things. I've been lucky over my career.
Yeah. So how is that, of the things you've been involved in, like how has that changed mindset or training moving forward from your experience in your career?
So talking about, the little things, like it's easy to talk about the sexy things, like sitting at that kitchen table and talk about all the fires we've put out or the everything that's went well or whatnot.
Yeah.
But talk about the little things, the failures.
Yeah.
Talk about whether it's something that you did or you observed, sit there and figure out. I love GoPros because now I can go back and I can see exactly how I got messed up, why that stretch came out weird or whatever, or why that door didn't force how it was, how it should have. But taking all that, diving into it, doing that kitchen table, that circle talk, like sitting in the circle in the engine bay, whatever it is, to go through, okay, hey, how can we do this? So actually every Mayday I've been part of or been involved in has been mitigated by people already working in the area, or even the members themselves.
Yeah.
I know when I was part of a Mayday in Howard County, and with the little fall that we took.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, my back hasn't.
That's why. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
So, like, it was resolved by the time the Mayday was called.
Yeah.
So because of gravity. So, but right away, like, it was like, okay, how can we get back in there? Like, maybe I was young and a lot of adrenaline, but
sure,
it's
a hell of a drug.
I can get up, I can still move, I'm good. Let's go finish putting this out.
Yeah.
The other things, one in the city where a guy went through the floor right next to me. I was like, oh, I was just standing right there. Guess I wasn't heavy enough. So, but there was a crew right below when he fell. He fell from the second to the first floor, and there was a crew right there. He broke his leg. So they just had to assist him out. The fire was on the floor that we were on.
Okay.
And extended up a little bit, but It was mainly a second floor fire, and we had knocked it. So, but going back and trying to see, okay, what was it? Like, was it just sheer weight? Like, did he do something? Did he jump out through the window, or did he shock load something?
Yeah.
Just the 1 an hour, like, okay, what was it? It was, okay, well, the steps had burned through. We didn't know it. And the person behind me was a little bit heavier than me. So when he stepped on it and put a little bit more weight trying to pull the line up is when he went through.
It went loose, yeah.
And I didn't know. I didn't hear anything or whatnot. I just felt the line get tight. I was like, shit, I got to back up to pull. Well, I backed up into the hole.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I should probably look where I'm going. We teach everybody to look forward, but you don't think I'm just taking a step back where I just was.
Sure.
To pay attention, but kind of maybe slow down a little bit, try to sound the floor a little bit more, but which is hard with the engine since you don't have a tool.
Typically, yeah.
So, but taking all those little lessons, anything, all the failures, the guys I try to work with day in, day out, we'd come back, and if it was something I didn't pay attention to on the fire ground, or like I paid attention to, I didn't relay it at the time, just come back. We had a fire, I forget how long ago now, a couple of years, and it was just weird. It was a big framer. It was somewhere that we usually don't go to. We run up, we were at a big frame, 2.5 story single family wood frame dwelling, and big wraparound porch. There was smoke. Not a whole lot, but smoke coming out from underneath the porch.
Okay. It's a red flag.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's weird. They were reporting a first floor and a second floor fire. It's like there was smoke underneath the porch. Like,
yeah.
And I relay that right away to the other firemen, but come back and look, and I had a glimpse of it on the camera. Like the camera was looking in the right spot at one point running up. So then we sat down and talked, and it was like, and I had an emphasis of trying to find the basement access, but I knew why.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
It was like, so we finally found the basement access, and it was chock full of smoke, but no fire in the basement. It just had filled down.
Okay. Wow.
Open doorway from the first floor fire straight.
Gotcha.
Straight down. So it flowed down. Filled up the basement, but it was like, okay, this really needs to go on, because at some point I'm going to move on or retire or something, and you are taking, you need to pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah.
So
basements will catch you.
we sat there and talked about it, and it's like, it's easy. Everybody goes in first floor, blinders are on, because it's like, oh, first floor up to the second, and then next thing somebody falls through, it's like, oh, there's fire.
There's a fire.
We never thought about it being down below us.
Yeah. I mean, because of our line of duty, that's something we certainly hammer home now. And I think we've gotten really good at acknowledging the basement. And at the same time, we still need to forget that there's a whole other house. I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was during training, but guys are doing really good checking the basements out now. But now they're zeroing in on that, and they forget to look up at the person hanging off the second floor. So it's still the whole picture. But I appreciate what you said, that it can be really easy to check out like the latest YouTube video or the latest tool, whatever neat accessory there is out there. And I do think we need to push the envelope to high skill stuff, because you don't know when you're going to need it. But 90% of issues are being taken care of with the very simple things done really well. I think a lot of people really underestimate the power of that, and having those hard conversations and following up with a video, I think, I don't know, for future messaging can take care of a lot of downstream stuff. But it's not as sexy. It's not as cool. But
I mean, we can go rappel out of the third floor, or I can just teach you how to put the fire out. And you don't have to.
Right.
But the basics are usually get dialed in on all of that stuff. Just as simple as how something feels.
Yeah.
How a hose feels with water flowing through it versus being stagnant. Like any of that. Like, okay, there's something wrong here because it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
This is empty because it's light or whatever. It should be heavier, like
Yeah.
different things. The more simple you can keep things, the better it is.
Sure.
So there's 18 different ways you can package a firefighter for moving them.
Yep.
What's going to be the easiest, quickest, down and dirtiest, and
100%.
effective?
100%.
Like, let's work and drill that way.
Yeah.
And then a couple variables in case something's not there.
Yeah.
But we don't need 18 different ways. We don't need something that real. It's good if you're between 5'6" and 5'9", 120 and 148 pounds. Right. Like, all right, give me a majority of us, and then give me the really big people. Like,
Yeah,
what
right.
are we going to do for them?
100%.
So
Yeah. That's actually something I'm working on right now. I'm going to have to get you to take a look at is, I think it's now not super crazy shit, but like when you're talking about the horizontal drags, down steps, like the bread and butter of a down firefighter, 100% of the time, it has always been faster to make sure their BA's on right and grab and go than it is to do all the cool shit, like breaking out webbing, breaking out ropes, lashing up pike poles and doing these like stirrup traps. Those are tools for the toolbox that you do need at times. I'm not saying don't do them. Train on them, figure it out. But I mean, I have put numbers and data to it and done hundreds and hundreds of reps in different scenarios. And 100% of the time, it's always been faster to make sure they get their B on right, tighten straps, grab and go. And yeah, I think it's just underestimated.
our downfall, the SCBA that we have, has a known fail point of the waist strap and the shoulder straps.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is rated for 0 lift of any component.
Wow.
And that's not, okay, we're going to lower off the aerial. No, that's lifting from the ground to your knee.
Wow.
0 lift. Little plastic pins hold the shoulder straps in.
Okay.
Little plastic not buckle, but piece connects the waistband to the back plate.
Gotcha.
In scenarios as well as a lot of training, we've snapped that time and time again.
Yeah.
Sometimes it holds up, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
So what are you
I
doing?
don't like that sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, if we can take a couple seconds to save more time halfway up the stairs and the shoulder strap blows off, so I'm a real big fan of the Anderson rescue strap,
Okay.
the ARS.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, yeah, whatever. Some of my good friends swear by it. So well, I've wasted more money on dumber things. So I reached out, ended up ordering one up. I love it. I always carried a 10-foot loop of 2-inch for various things.
Yep.
I'm like, well, this can do all that and more. So let's go.
Yeah.
So it's great because it's simple.
Yeah. Right.
You should be able to deploy that in a couple seconds.
Yes.
And as dirty as you want, just loop it underneath your armpits and let's drag.
Yeah.
Let's look.
Right.
Girth hitch.
Right.
Let's come up these stairs. Let's get over. At least then I know that is not going to break.
Yeah.
That is not going anywhere.
Right.
And now with the introduction of all of us having a harness,
Yeah.
is a simple way just to incorporate the two. Pop the pompier off the big carabiner, and just as you come through, bring the loop through the center of it, not clip it in or anything, just right through the center.
Yep.
Now you know their lower is attached to their upper.
Yeah.
And same thing. Make sure the SEB's on,
Grab
and we
go.
can go
Cool.
if it's dirty enough.
Yeah.
If we got time, okay, here's a couple of things. We can package them a little bit better.
Yeah.
But if we just got to drag, let's go.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you're not getting into these fancy knots. You're not like creating the
You
class
can't do
2
it.
harness, in the bad environment, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, there's a simple way to use 2 of the straps to make a simple class 3
Yeah.
if you have to. But again, like the primary thing is if we have to go vertical through a hole in the floor,
Yeah.
then we have to.
Right.
But if it's just a drag or whatever else, no.
Yeah.
You should be able to do it quickly, but if not, don't waste time. Just loop it and go.
Yeah. It's not necessary. Right.
Yeah.
let's go post line of duty or like Mayday stuff. So going back to just the sheer volume, I'm going to fluff your nuts here for a second. So you've got between Kentland going from firefighter all the way up to chief, like life member at, say one of the busiest companies. And then in the city, one of the busiest companies, the volume of fire that you've had in your career, like there's not a whole lot of people that can ever attain probably the volume that you have, just the number of calls and the number of fires, right? So for some people, that can take a really big toll on you. When we start preaching like firefighter resiliency, how do you couple? Yeah, you can say you've sure, absolutely, you've seen a lot. Your body and mind have experienced a lot. Now that you're a little older, I know you've always been like lean and in decent shape. I know, I don't say a newfound love, like you've been on the grind, like
a little bit more.
Yeah,
frequently.
physical fitness wise. Yeah. But how has that changed over the years, and what does that mean and look like to you now? Being a little bit older, I mean, you're still hammering, right? Like you're still
Body's a little tired.
Yeah, you're right. It's a real thing too, man, that mind-body connection. Right. So managing the physical stress and then any mental, emotional stuff that may come with it, like what does that look like now for you in this stage of your career?
Looking back and realizing like I've felt better whenever I've been involved in something physical, whether it's jiu-jitsu or just working out hard, coming getting you to kick my ass. Like I've been less prone to injury during that time, and then also like overall sleep better, feel better mentality. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I get sluggish and don't feel like doing it for too long, eat like crap, then everything else kind of compounds, and then what should be a little thing, you dwell on it a little bit more, or you think a little bit more into it, or whatever.
Yeah,
it catches up.
Yeah.
So I definitely think the grind is helpful. I mean, there's no shortage of data that, or people talking like hard labor and physicality like is a good thing.
Always.
And helps your mental state. But it's real.
Yeah. There's no downside.
No. Even now, like if I go a few days, like I traveled up to Syracuse to help with the heavy rescue conference.
Oh, cool.
And although I think I got two workouts in while I was up there, but just going from one thing to the other and being around the guy, like kind of took a few days off. Mm-hmm. And then came home and was like, oh, my sleep's a little off. That could have been the alcohol, or could have been the lack of working out.
Right. Combination.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Right. So it's like, okay, let me get back in the groove, and then everything starts feeling a little bit better, and everything joints feel a little bit more lubed up, and
yeah, right. Yeah, you just move better. And, you move better, you operate better. Yeah.
Fireground's always just a little bit of effort. And then firegrounds feel better too. It's like, oh, I'm not as tired as I used to be, or I can, I can last longer, and so
with you being a battalion aide, is that changed? You're not as interior as much, right? But you're still like you're with the chief running all the fires. Mm-hmm. Being on the outside, so to speak. Has that changed any thought processes, or has it hammered home any, like, or maybe all the things you're already doing, is it like firming beliefs of certain operations and tactics that you had? Yeah,
it definitely, sitting out there, and I had the positive experience of being used to being in a car, being a chief in PG at Kentland. And then years later, I put that hat back on. It's like, now I'm outside at work.
Yeah.
And, the rapport I have with a lot of the chiefs I've driven is good, where if I suggest something or I see something, like I can go right to them. A couple other chiefs, you got to kind of sell it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I know if there's something emergent enough, it's just go on. You're part of command. Yeah, cool. If it's that, don't find me, just do it. It's going to be that important. But reaffirming and seeing really like what companies don't do that they should do.
Right.
And then trying to make them understand why it's needed, like
sure,
just to be covering hydrants, announcing where you are, like doing simple things.
Going
like,
back to the basics.
yeah, like we're outside, like give us a little something. Like we can't see the inside and you can't see the outside.
Right.
So this is how this game works. we're supposed to use both going back and forth, but then having people not have their radios on, officers not having radios on, not knowing where their personnel are.
Yeah.
Not understanding like coming from a system where doing something as simple as a par check is done and over with in no time.
Yeah.
To a system that we didn't do them for the longest time, really.
Yeah.
And it's a complete disaster when we were. It's going to be hard.
It's a 5-minute process.
Or longer.
Yeah. Jeez.
Usually with units getting missed too.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, it should be, as soon as you're called, like, hey, you're a truck and you're working in different sections of your crews in 2 different parts. It's announced that it's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
So start finding where your crew is. Like that's your clue. Not wait until, I don't know where anybody. No, you're a captain, you're a lieutenant, whatever. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Like have an idea. Be on the right radio channel. Give solid reports. Just as simple as, we had fire on the first floor, we didn't. We're advancing to the second floor. Okay, cool. Now I kind of have an idea where you're going.
Right.
You're working, everything's going as planned. Now, it's like, okay, we're on the second floor, we can't make the third floor. Okay, like, that's going to, your kind of clock is starting like, okay, well, we got a little bit of time if we see improvement or we don't see improvement.
Yeah.
So.
And you are in this unique position where it's not just your company at 8x10, it's all the companies within that battalion or however are all in that box alarm, and you have to check in with the capabilities of the crews. So now, like, all right, that company's squared away. I can give them a little bit more time. I'm a little bit more trusting, whereas maybe this company is going through, I'll say it nicely, like you're going through a growth period, right? They're going through a learning
rebuilding
period.
year.
Right? That's a good way to put it. Yeah, they're in that rebuilding process, right? And they're like, I'm not going to give you as much time. I'm not going to give you as much time as I need more information from you. Yeah.
And it's just understanding who the crews are and who the crews have that day.
Yeah.
So it's easy to have people off and then other ones detailed in or overtime. And the engine might say 8 or 14, but it's 3 overtime people from different battalions that have never worked together.
Yeah, sure.
So the fire truck's here, but 14's not.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
So understanding what your crew is that day. And we're good at looking at who we have in our battalion. But then some people don't look at the surrounding companies either. So I always try to look at the surrounding company like 13, 16, 52, 23 engine and rescue, like ones that are normally on our first due boxes. Yeah. So we have an idea like, okay, we can rely on them today, or today's a rebuilding time. Right. Or sometimes it's a sleeper where it's like somebody, a company where it's like, oh no, so-and-so has overtime today and so-and-so's detail. Like, oh.
We're good.
Yeah. Now we can put them in the game.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. Fast forwarding to chiefdom stuff, because you've run the gamut, which is just an interesting perspective I have, being through all the rank structures, and especially incredibly busy houses. Is there like a common theme, mantra, principle that you felt like you were constantly relying on or preaching? Like something as simple as like something I'll go to is like, hey guys, like just do the right thing. Like what's the right thing in this moment right now? And as soon as you ask the question out loud, they're like, yeah, okay, we know what the right thing is. And then you go do that thing. Like, is there something that you were constantly harping on or falling back on or having to put out there, and like that was kind of your catch-all, that was your base for your leadership style when you were,
it's
in command of an entire company?
It's weird. So instinct is great, but it takes experience and failure and time to have that instinct. The instincts as a 2-year-old or 2-year guy, 5-year, 20-year is all different. Yeah. It should be.
Hopefully. Right. Hopefully.
It should be, and it should increase. But for, I don't know, over a decade now, like went down the leadership rabbit hole of this book, that book, going to Echelon Front Muster, roll call, kind of all over and reading things. And one of the things that's really stuck the most is one of Hal Moore's lessons. And when it broke down into pretty much, when there's a doubt, there's no doubt. So good or bad. If there's a doubt if you should do this or if you shouldn't do it, then you probably should or shouldn't, like whichever way. It's like, and like you just said, once you say it aloud, it's like,
puts it right in front of your face.
I answered that. Usually that's going to get you your best result.
Yeah, cool.
And not in like a legal thing. I always don't, like, everything you do has to be justifiable.
Yeah.
So, and it can't be, well, that's how we've always done it. That's why. No, like, hey, we needed to make the push because there was the neighbor saying this, and there was somebody in there. The floor looked good. I could see the stairs, so we started making the push in to be able to check this room, whatever the case is. Like, okay, as long as at that point there's no doubt. Like,
no, I like that. As
you're
long
controlling
as you
the doubt. As Tim Klett says.
And if you have spent that 2, 5, 20 years worth of experience curating your experience and reputation to that where the person you're talking to can trust you, then it's easier to justify what it is you're doing. And like you said, if you can't justify it, then you should probably abandon it. Pivot something.
There's probably something else to do or something better to do. And to accomplish a same or similar goal.
Sure. Something, I know we're get to wrapping up. We're almost banging on an hour.
Whatever.
We're something that I always appreciated. Like Kentland can be sometimes it can be sink or swim. Like it can be a tough place, right?
And I've been part of that. The beginning of leadership there was you're sinking or swimming. We probably got rid of a few decent apples. They just weren't shiny at the time. But
sometimes it's the way it is. But to each its own, like that is what has curated such a hard-charging, disciplined company throughout the years, right? And I remember when I was down there for my handful of years, something I always appreciated was you expected a lot of people, and you were always you had a really great balance of like, we're going to have a really good time, and I'm going to expect a lot out of you. And if somebody asks you for help for anything, you're like, yes, let's go do it. And so there, you can get caught up in the do as I say, not as I do, or hey, I'm going to go hang out in this room. When I come back out, I want to make sure that you have done all this training and doing all this shit. And that wasn't your style. Like you were always on the floor helping us out. We would, even when we thought we were done, you're like, no, we got other things to do. And like, I know you're laughing earlier. We were talking about how you were saying you were a stubborn asshole. I'm not going to take that from you. Maybe you are, but
still I am. Sometimes.
No, but that's something I always appreciated was like you coupled building the connections with the company to establish that trust and holding a very high standard. And that's a mix that can sometimes be really hard for people. And you found that. And I had that with you very early on in my fire service tenure. So I've always appreciated that. Don't ever lose that.
Thank you.
Is there anything that, you have your hands in so many damn things, like between Kentland and the city and traditions, like what, I don't know. This is your minute to like shout out what it is that you're doing or anything that you're getting into. Like, I feel like traditions is kind of like the OGs on the street. Like there's all kinds of companies out there now, which is awesome. Some are great, some not so great. Everybody's got their own shtick, but traditions is like one of the OGs on the street, right?
BL Walking, traditions. A couple of the longest running ones. Minus some of the guys that have just done it on their own for years and years. There's definitely a ton of new groups every week almost. Thanks social media.
Sure.
Some are good, some are not as good. So that's always going to be out there running something. Broke down a couple years ago, I guess, and figured I needed to get into the whole lecture thing or whatever. So I built the one lecture and able to give it a few different times and just try and refine it from there.
Yeah.
Maybe give it a few more times or so. But I think it's a good message. It's just all the things that we don't want to talk about. That you watch the 60-second YouTube reel or Instagram reel, and it's like, I gotta be like these guys and run as fast, and then you do it and you fall down in front of the chief, and he's mad now, like it didn't work out. It's like, yeah, there's months of prep behind that.
Yeah.
Just try and carry on the traditions. I was lucky enough to have real good mentors and be in the right room with some important people early on.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up and everything else, taking lessons from dad and my grandfather, on to senior guys in Ocean City, Kentland, Howard, Baltimore. Just figuring somebody somewhere along the way is like, listen. It may not make sense now, but listen, you might need it.
Yeah.
So when I got my senior man spot, my first acting spot in Baltimore, I had to change shifts from the one I was on to the current one. Mm-hmm. And the lieutenant I went to work for, very old, salty, crusty lieutenant, and set in his ways. But I think when I went to work for him, he had 38 years in. When he retired, he had 43.
In the city.
And the majority of that all at 8 engine.
Holy shit.
So I wanted to know everything he knew.
Yeah, right?
Like, so he's from the city, worked half his life in the city too.
Yeah.
There was things he saw and did that we're never going to see or replicate, but we might see some of it. So a lot of people didn't want to, or try to stay away. I'm like, I can't go. I'm a son.
Yeah.
Send me. So just started asking him questions.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. He was so approachable when you actually asked. When you had a genuine concern or a thought.
Yeah.
You didn't lie. He could tell that you wanted to be better.
Yeah.
For the company, for the department. So I'd go and ask him something that I thought might be a 20 minute quick answer, and 2 hours later I'm still sitting in the office with him.
Yeah, cool.
Or we might talk for 20-30 minutes, some more time goes by, and then 8 engine mount up. We're all looking at each other, where are we going? What'd you do? And then we pull up in front of a building that we were talking about, like a
cool.
fire condition, and we stand there for an hour. And it was like, oh, wow, here's a 40-year guy that's, you just ask him something, he's going to open up.
Showing you the real. Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah, it's easy to be like, oh, well, I'm going to just avoid him.
Yeah, right.
He's rough, he's hard. Like, no, I won't say he's a teddy bear because he's far from that. But he wanted you to be better.
Yeah.
So
I think that stats just came out. I remember I was looking at them. I mean, 2 out of 3 days, your area is burning, right? Give or take. It's and then Kentland's not too far behind that. So if you take that volume of working, like true working fires, and spread that over a 43-year career, that's insane.
yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah, he was always at busy places, and
Yeah.
when they took less medic runs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a little
When they took
different
more
now.
fire runs and less medic runs.
Yeah, it's a little different now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I can just emulate and pass on stuff from guys like him, Pete Lunn, and, everything, and the kind of mold the rest of it. When I was new at Kentland, junior, and not a junior member, just junior
younger
time.
guy, right?
Ricky Riley was the chief there, and I remember we had an apartment fire one night, and a couple of rescues were made, some ground ladders, some interior, go to apartment fire, and I was on the tower, came out, and he's standing there, this, and this all need to get done, and rest is not in your vocabulary. Copy that.
Got it.
Check. Back in we went, and it's like kind of holding to, like, hey, you don't have time to rest yet. Like, you got to take care of this shit first.
Yeah.
Make sure this roof isn't going to burn off. Make sure there's not other people stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
So, no problem. Come on. And then take that, morph it with the lessons from my good friend Tony Kelleher. And you got to be on the floor. Sometimes there's times you have to be in the office handling stuff while the guys are on the floor, but you got to balance that. You got to balance it back and forth.
Sure.
And you got to know if you're doing something in that office for them.
Yeah. And the awesome thing about my experiences down there too were that guys like you and Kelleher and Madison and Ricky, Pinky, like a whole lot of them, right, Joe? Like we had such a great core group there that everybody was their own example. Like everybody held a high standard, and if they asked you to do anything, you would do anything for them because you knew that they policed themselves in such a way that you knew they could do the job.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been there, they'd proven it, but they weren't just like wearing that on their sleeve. Like they were still out on the floor doing what it is needed to do. And if anything was wrong, like they would have those hard conversations. Like there's plenty of times like tail between my legs, Ricky's looking at me or Mike or somebody, and they're like, hey, are you ever going to do that thing that you just did again? And I'm like, nope, never, ever again. Right. So, yeah, it was a tough place, but in all the best ways.
Trying to breed that into people is the best. And having it. There was one night we got dispatched to the first apartment fire, and I was in the car. I forget if it was the A chief or the chief. And I went MLK South as I was watching the engine go MLK North. I'm like, that's odd. Normally I might question myself, but I know this one pretty damn well.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're going to see how this works out.
Yeah.
Get there. And luckily they recovered. They realized they got there. They laid out. They were still first arriving somehow.
Oh, good. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so I left. Stayed up. It was middle of the night, so I stayed up for the engine to get back. And as soon as I heard the parking brake hit, I was like, well, I'll give him a minute to see if my buddy, pretty much little brother, will walk back here or not, or I have to call him back. Door opens. It's like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, same thing. Is it gonna happen again? Nope.
Yep.
I knew absolutely well. He's beating himself up.
Yeah, more than you ever
more
could.
than anything. Not to mention the fact that he was driving John Burns.
Yeah, right.
So,
he's going to go in his ass next. Yeah.
So John was already like
just wearing him out.
Yeah. It was like, where are you going? I'm like, yeah, okay. And like a couple of days later, we joke, okay. So how was that conversation in the front?
Man, John put me through the ringer so many times, in all the best ways though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I miss that dude. Yeah. But the fact that it's almost, I wouldn't say it's a lost art, but that's something that we should cherish is having that hard conversation, right?
Got to be able to.
Yeah.
Too many people. So it's not comfortable for anybody, especially when they're your friends. But
sure,
you need to be able to.
Yeah. No, I think that's
breeding a culture of mutual respect so that you can.
Yeah. No, I think it's as good a place as any to wrap this up. I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've definitely gave me skills and a mindset that have gotten me out of a lot of bad situations, and you've taken care of me over the years, so I appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're a good dude, Roger Steger.